Hey guys, Mrhappy here, and this is Mondays with Mrhappy. This is just a weekly Q&A show that I started up a few weeks ago because I get tons of questions on Facebook, Twitter, and in the comment sections of my videos that, I usually have to answer many times. So having a place just to be able to answer a ton of questions is just really nice for me, and it also allows me to connect with my viewers in a certain way. You can ask me personal questions, you can ask me questions about Final Fantasy XIV, video games in general, whatever it is, you ask it, and if I pick the question, I'll answer it. So let's get to this week's Q&A. Alright, so the first question is actually a really easy one. Do you think with the increased max level there will be new job skills? Yeah. I mean, they've said it on multiple occasions that there will be. One of the most common things they refer to is we won't be adding new summons until we raise the level cap, so that way we can add new skills to other jobs at the same time, so it'll be fair. So yeah, pretty much they are going to do it. Alright, this is one I actually get pretty often too. What's a good job / class for new players starting Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn? And you know what? I used to think that question was a lot easier. I used to say Bard or Black Mage are two really easy ones. Bards, you're allowed to DPS while moving, so it's easy to sort of see the fight from a distance and learn all the mechanics very easily. Black Mage isn't very demanding in terms of how many buttons you have to press, but a brand new Black Mage, it can be really frustrating learning the mechanics and constantly interrupting your casts when you're not really sure how to play. So I kind of took that one off my list. And then it depends on what other, what do you like to do? Because, yeah, playing a DPS is good for learning mechanics, but playing a tank or a healer has its own benefits too. Even if you've never done those things before, going in with one of the more difficult learning curves or one of the more pressure-related learning curves can actually teach a player a lot. So if you're looking for what I believe is the absolute easiest job, I would say Bard. I'm sorry, other Bards, but I am an experienced Bard, and I still think it's the easiest job in the game. Maybe Paladin. Paladin sort of has the added pressure that a Bard doesn't really have of being a tank. Tanks just have added pressure. It's an unfortunate truth, but of the tanks, of all the other jobs in the game, actually, Paladin is fairly easy. It's a very low learning curve. So those are the two jobs that I would recommend the most. If you really want to play a healer, I say go with Scholar, but it really sucks for the first 30 levels. You won't even be a healer. Here's an interesting one, because this is actually something that I'm considering doing, and it's Mrhappy. I would love if you make videos in other places that aren't your room. Maybe another part of your house, a public place like a plaza, a coffee shop. I'll say this right now, we don't really have many places like that that are near my home. I live in a very small town that doesn't exactly have a lot going on. But I did have a fan offer to donate me a video camera. Like, this is all I got. Like, I have a phone camera or this, what you see behind me. So it's really hard for me to do it right now. So I'm they said that they would send it to me ASAP after they offered. It's been the Labor Day weekend, so I'm not expecting to receive it anytime soon. But I will consider that in the future, especially because I'm going to be doing a video outside in the near future anyway. Alright, this one might make me a little bit sick. Do you think Final Fantasy XIV will or can in the later future be implemented with VR technology like Oculus or Morpheus? And one reason I said I was sick is that I think I would get sick if I tried playing this game with virtual reality. First of all, I can only imagine this. This is like Titan hard mode. Like, okay, weights are coming. Weights are coming. You're pressing your button, but you're looking down like, are there weights under me? Are there weights? Oh shit. Just imagine that's how it would work with like a VR technology. I think they could. I don't think they will. I don't think that's... I think they should just focus on getting the DX11 client out first. The DX11 client out first, yeah? Alright, well, here's an interesting one, and I know the person who's asking me this. They come by my stream very often. What are some things or mechanics from Final Fantasy XI would you like to be added to Final Fantasy XIV? As outdated as 11 is, I do believe it still has ideas within the game that would work in modern times. As I never played 11, I can't give an example. You know what? Final Fantasy XI was not a game about mechanics. I mean, that's the raw truth. Final Fantasy XI was a game where you did your research ahead of time, and then you went in. The battles were very simple by nature. You know, it was usually just enemy attacks you, occasionally does a special move, and you just have to sort of react to it, whether it be with defensive abilities, whether it be with healing up afterwards, and just kill it before it kills you. They started adding sort of mechanics later, but they are your generic mechanics for an MMO. You know, oh, every 10% of his HP, he'll do this attack. Or every 50% he'll do this, or at 50% they'll do this. You know, they weren't really like super in-depth mechanics. The closest thing that had like mechanics, like actual sort of, oh, you got to move here and there, was Diabolos, where his the platforms under the arena would disappear like halfway through the fight, and if you weren't standing in the right spot, you'd fall off and get killed by dynamites. You know, you didn't take fall damage in the game, but you would fall to your death in a way anyway. So, nothing really, because that game wasn't about mechanics. It was about the bosses using a bunch of random abilities most of the time, and you just kind of having to deal with it. And we've all seen how much people love random abilities. Ugh, nope, not at all. I like this one. What is the one thing from 1.0 that you missed that was taken away? And in the rest of this quote, they mentioned the seamless maps. Keep in mind that the only reason we had seamless maps is because the entire world was copy-pasted. I do like to point that out because the worlds had no... Like, you could travel throughout all of Thanalan, and you could just completely forget which part of Thanalan you were in for the most part. Other than maybe the path going north. The northern path, I remember being a little tiny bit different, but it was still just copy-paste of other parts of the map. So, I don't miss that, but I will say I do miss the larger Coerthas map. Coerthas we have now is literally 1/5 the size, whereas Thanalan and Lenosha and the Black Shroud, those were all, you know, the same size, just split in. They're now split into 5 different zones, or 6 different zones in the case of Lenosha. So I kind of just missed the other 4 parts of Coerthas. I think that by 2.5 we may see at least one of those other 4 areas that we haven't seen, if not by the expansion. I have a feeling we're going to see more of Coerthas soon, and I had a sort of theorycraft video about that, but we'll talk about that another time. This is another good one, because I get this a lot. I've been getting this since they revealed Rogue. Mrhappy, do you think Thief / It's Rogue. I'm sorry, but it's Rogue. It's not Thief. I have to say it. Will it be available to new players, or will it require 2.2 story completion just so there's no conflict and continuity? It's going to be available to new players. They're simply... Final Fantasy XIV is meant to be an accessible MMO. And for the most part, it is. There are some things that have barriers behind them, but as patches go by, they make the barriers easier to get past, or they completely remove the barriers. Like, I think you won't have to beat first coil to get in the second coil as of 2.4, and that's because you don't have to beat Ifrit Extreme to get into Leviathan anymore. That's, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, because if they could have done it, they could have done that a long time ago, but I think next patch they may do it. Yeah, it should be available to new players for that reason. Just the game tries to be so accessible that I sincerely doubt they would want you to get a character to 50 and do a bunch of story missions before you could see Thief or Ninja. Thief, sorry, now you got me doing it. Rogue or Ninja. So yes, the answer is yes. Here's another interesting one. There are a lot of videos sharing the best ways to make Gil in Final Fantasy XIV. What is the best way to make consistent Gil? First of all, I don't think there is a best way. I think every individual person has their own ways of making money. Some people buy things off the market board and then flip the price. They buy it and then they sell it at a higher price. Some people just stalk the market board and look for people who are undercutting and then buy it from them and then sell it at the normal price. That's another normal thing to do. Some people mine, some people do botany, some people cook, some people craft HQ item level 90 accessories, or crafting or gathering attires, or militia things for people who are out there spirit bonding, who just don't want to do all the work themselves. Some people sell materia. Some people go out and spirit bond all the time and sell materia. Some people farm fleece. Like, people do everything for money. The big thing is, a lot of people think that money's inaccessible to them, or Gil, I should say, is inaccessible to them because they're not making it in giant chunks. Like me, I can make $1 million to $1.5 million a day if I really want to with my miner. I know exactly how to do it. I know exactly I have my exact mining route, and I do it from time to time, but I don't go to the extreme where I try to make more than a few $100K a day. You know, and then I also have to wait for the weekends to be over for the unbelievable undercutters to get off the market board. But yeah, there really isn't a best way to make Gil. I mean, people will tell you, and most people will try and keep their secrets a secret. So just do whatever you enjoy, and you can make money. Just do whatever, man. Alright, here's another question that's pretty fair to answer because I don't really do this that much anymore. Your videos used to open up with the Curse logo. What was that partnership? Also, what happened to it? First of all, nothing happened to it. I am partnered with Curse under their Union for Gamers network on YouTube. It's a great network. I'm extremely happy with them. I much prefer it over some of the more common networks that you see, and I could make a whole video about that in itself, and I'm not going to right now. But I still have it, and the reason why I don't use the opening anymore is a few reasons. One, the audio on it is ear piercing. Anyone who's listened to those old videos knows that unless I very carefully tune the audio and I make adjustments to it, it is just, it'll wake you up, man. It's really, really loud compared to the rest of the video. And also, I stopped really feeling like I had to use those openings. I mean, sure, that they sort of add a sense of credibility to the videos when you have a Curse logo flash up at the beginning. And I know that a lot of YouTubers, they have an opener, they have a closer, and I don't really have either of those things. But if I had to use one, it would probably still be the Curse logo. I don't know. I just they're not really, they don't really press you on that. That's part of one of the good things. They don't really press you on you have to use our thing at the beginning or the end. They don't care. It's up to us. And sometimes I just didn't feel like having it. Alright, I got a few that I'm going to rattle off right now. This video is starting to get long, but I found a few questions here, like right on the same screen that I want to answer. Hey, Haps, what's your favorite Final Fantasy battle theme? And if you lived in a Final Fantasy world, which one would it be? First of all, I don't want to live in any of those worlds because I want to live, I want to survive, and every Final Fantasy world, just bad things happen all the time. I don't want to be in there. What's your favorite Final Fantasy battle theme, though? Battle on Big Bridge. Come on, it's got to be. Next one. With Summoner, did you ever want to use Carbuncle after hitting 50? Yeah, actually, to be honest, I did. Just because it was better than a potato, or whatever the heck you want to call Titan Eggy. Whatever. And this one, what do you shave with? I don't know, that's kind of strange to ask a razor. I do have, hey, my nephew's crying. He's doing his morning cries, in case you can't hear him. I have several shave kits over there, which is weird considering I have a beard most of the time. But I have a trimmer now that I'm trying to shape this up with. It's not great, since I've never really done shape-ups or anything of the sorts, but I'm working on it. Wow, he's really crying. Let's move on to the next question. Alright. My nephew's still crying, but I tried to wait it out before I answered the next question for the recording, but he's been crying for a pretty long time, so he should be settling down soon. But here's a question that I really, really want to answer. Alright, what's your real name? Michael. Easy one, but the second half... By the way, don't you find Final Fantasy XIV to be a little on the easy side, especially compared to Final Fantasy XI? Alright, let me just say this right now. Final Fantasy XI, to me, was a very easy MMO. It was very time-consuming. It was very RNG-based, but it was one of the easiest MMOs I've ever played. Most battles, if you're not a tank, pretty much just end in you sitting there either auto-attacking or casting a spell here and there. It wasn't very active. It was very slow. It was very methodical. And to be honest, to me, it was really, really easy. I mean, I was one of those people who would be with, like, 13 Manning, Jailer of Love, with 4 or 5 people dual boxing. And we would be able to do it no problem. Like, none of us were challenged by it. So it was just like, you know, whatever. I didn't really find... I found some pieces of content fun in Final Fantasy XI, like Ain Heriar was one of my favorites. I love the atmosphere and the theme, and I also just... Odin. Like, come on. But Final Fantasy XI, to me, is actually easier than Final Fantasy XIV. Just much, much more time-consuming. Like, your life is gone. Give it up. Alright, after that last question, I feel like I could just do one more. One more should be good, and it's a pretty common one that I get. What do you feel about Ninja? Based on the current situation of lack of tanks, but instead of releasing a new tank class, they go with the Ninja anyway. Actually, I kind of appreciate that they're not just looking at, hey, we don't have enough tanks, let's release a new tank. They're just like, huh, we're not fulfilling this one fantasy. And since the game came out, so many people have said, is there anything like Rogue? And I've had to go, well, yeah, Pugilist. I mean... you know, like they'll compare Rogue and World of Warcraft. I'd be like, I mean, I guess you have Monk. They have back attacks, side attacks. They have positional dependent attacks. But other than that, I was like, what really? There's nothing that really classifies as roguish, as stealth, as scout. And they were more focused on fulfilling a fantasy that a lot of people love in MMOs, which is the stealth, you know, the stealth genre, the scout genre. And getting that into the game sooner. I mean, they've had this planned for quite a while now, we can believe. And realistically, sure, if you release a new tank, everyone will level that new tank. You know, oh, new job's out, gotta try it, gotta level it a little bit. But it wouldn't really fix the issue of not enough tanks or healers at level 50. If somebody doesn't like tanking, odds are a new job isn't going to be what pushes them over. Unless it's some crazy intense job. A lot of people don't like tanking or healing because it's a lot of pressure. And now, don't get me wrong, it definitely would be a few more of them, but what is more likely to happen is that the tanks who are already paladins or warriors would likely change to that job instead of just DPS or healers playing the tanks or healers instead, you know? So I think it's a smart thing to do. It shows that they care more about fulfilling certain types of fantasies, which it's Final Fantasy, so I appreciate it. I think it's a good idea. I do think that adding another melee DPS may be a little bit, yeah, I think they could have gone with another ranged DPS first, but regardless, they do what they do. Can't stop it. And anyway, guys, that's it for this week's Q&A. There were quite a few questions on this video that I didn't get to answer and that I am looking forward to answer. So if you want to ask again, you can ask under this video. I will be looking at last week's video for some of these questions for next week as well. If you're wondering if your question's been answered before, remember there are other Q&A videos. There's part 1, 2, and 3 that you can check out. All of them have a bunch of questions that have been answered. So if I were you, I'd go check those out as well. But anyway, guys, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Definitely like the video. Liking is really good. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care.